Hey there, it's Eric Aft again with Second Harvest Food Bank. For this week's Backstage Pass, I'm going to talk about something that may not be that exciting to many of you, but for us, it's critical, and to me, it's super interesting actually, and that is public policy and advocacy. People may not always, think about those topics when they think about Second Harvest Food Bank, but the impact on our work is actually very, very significant. And that's why we're constantly communicating with our state leaders as well as federal leaders about different food policies and related policies that impact food work all the time, so that they understand what the reality is of their decision making on the neighbors that they represent. We're very fortunate in this area. We have wonderful leaders. We have very influential individuals, whether it's Representative Donnie Lambeth or Senator Dana Jones, Representative Kyle Hall. I could go on and on. They're wonderful advocates for the food bank. They understand the importance of our work, and they understand that what they decide has real world consequences. So how it all starts for us is we have actually a board level advocacy committee of members of our board as well as individuals outside of our board who help us think through the different aspects of policies that may directly impact our work. We try to have it very narrowed, and we're going to share that with you on screen, and you can call us if you want to learn more about it, and we'd love to hear your questions and that you can submit to us about this work. But it's really helping us to frame where are the areas that most impact our work. There's so much happening in the world of politics and policy that you can go in a million different directions. But we feel like focusing on the issues of the food that you see behind me and the individuals who are impacted by food policy is where we need to stay. You may also wonder, can nonprofits advocate? Can they lobby? Absolutely. We are members of the public just like all of you. We do need to make sure that we are clear about being nonpartisan. That is critical. We're about educating, informing the impact of policy to all parties, whether it be Democrat, Republican, Independent. We just want people to understand how their decisions, again, impact the individuals they represent. It's actually a critical role. A good example is SNAP benefits. So SNAP, otherwise known to many as food stamps, stands for Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Programs. It's what individuals who need a little extra help, they receive an EBT card. Those benefits don't cover all food costs. So families who are on SNAP are also providing food on their own table. Sometimes they need our assistance. Actually, most of the folks that we serve are actually either seniors, kids, or they're working. And sometimes all of us just need a little help. Anyway, back to SNAP. For every meal that we provide, and mind you, last year we provided almost 40 million meals. SNAP provides 9 meals. So you can quickly do the math that's over 360 million meals that SNAP is providing. So it is integral to the food safety net that we value here at Second Harvest. So talking about the impact of SNAP changes, which have been happening currently, what's going to happen with that? And we're going to dig in later on those impacts at a later time, but we just kind of want to frame the issue of public policy right now. So that is a core one that is part of what's called the Farm Bill. That is something that gets authorized periodically. And right now we're operating really without a Farm Bill. So it just means that what's happened before is continuing. And those policies may not be as strong as they could be to make sure that our kids, seniors, and veterans get the meals and nutrition that they need. So it's not just the federal level, and there's other policies that we are looking at the federal level. And again, we can share with you our advocacy agenda where you see a little bit more of that detail. But I want to shift to the state level as well. So again, we have wonderful state leaders that we get to communicate with all the time. Just right now, as the taping of this Backstage Pass is happening, is we've got 3 visits lined up for some of our representatives and senators. And so we're looking forward to sitting down with them, talking about how they can continue to support their local communities with the needs that children, again, seniors and veterans have for food assistance. So where we're focused right now is making sure that the North Carolina budget incorporates support for the 7 food banks that serve our state. They've been doing that for 35 years. Right now, there's not money in the budget for the food banks. And how do we use those funds? And for us, it's about $1 million. $900,000 of that is actually used to purchase food focused on North Carolina farmers. So they are very vital, not only to support our work, but also for the farmers themselves and the economies that they are really an integral part of. The other $100,000 is used to distribute the food that we get, so it gets where it's needed most. So the impact of that, your tax dollars in that way, is pretty incredible. And we want to make sure our elected officials understand the importance of that work. We know that they want to support it, but they're also balancing a lot of different challenges. But you can tell them how important the support of food banks are to our communities and that you think it's a great use of tax dollars. They love to hear from constituents. They try to reflect how they vote based upon that. So the more they hear your voice, the more that they can be informed in how they make decisions. So the other pieces that we're starting to work with them around is an area called Healthy Opportunities. It's a new way of using Medicaid funds to not just provide direct medical assistance, but also providing support for those things that impact people's health, something called social determinants of health. So if you eat better, you're healthier. If you exercise more, you're going to be healthier. So how do we make that investment so people don't have to return to the hospital after they've gotten assistance? In other words, it's a use of government dollars to prevent people from having to use care over and over again. In other words, getting people healthier versus just addressing the symptoms over and over again. It's a really smart way to do it, and research will tell us that when people are eating healthier, they're less likely to return to the hospital, and they are also have better health outcomes. So it's really creative ways. So we're really trying to work with the legislature to know that these are good investments that can help keep our communities and our neighbors healthy. So those are just a few things. So the last thing I want to share, when you look back here, it is all about trying to resource food, trying to make sure that we get food where it's needed. Good public policy around a balance between private and public work is what we're all about. You know, Second Harvest is a private nonprofit organization. That means people who donate, that they can choose a tax write-off. You know, always check with your tax advisor about that. That's a little disclaimer I have to throw in there. But the bottom line is that for the most part, we rely on you, and the private individuals, mainly individuals, support our work. We also get support from foundations as well as corporations, but the vast majority of the support that is core to what we do and make sure this work happens behind me is from people like you. But also the public involvement is critical, supporting about 20% of what we do. So they are a very vital part of our strategy. So making sure we have the right public policy that is meaningful for those we serve is critical. Sorry to do this week's Backstage Passes just talking at you, but public policy is all about engagement and conversation. So we want to hear from you. So make this a conversation. Comment, share your questions. We look forward to hearing from you and again, extending this conversation with you. In the future, we're going to dig deeper into some of those public policy issues, but next time we're going to get more into the action of some of those core things and unique strategies that Second Harvest is all about, making sure we're getting food on the table where it's needed most. Thank you. We look forward to seeing you next time.